Welcome to Debating Europe's Citizens' Insight debate about the EU's digital decade. Can you do two things at once? Can you make sure that you have support of startups as well as citizens and empower citizens to be able to make the right choices and have the right outcomes? I'm joined by a very illustrious panel. We have the Vice President of the Parliament, we have Google, a household name, and we also have online with us from Romania, we have Catalina and Radu, both of whom have been in the issue of digitalization for many, many years, both from the point of the Aspen Institute in Romania, but also to do with ANIS, which is the business association dealing with digitalization and software services. So this discussion that we're going to be having is really about, can you do two things at once? We know Europe's not usually very good at that because it's often very siloed but not joined up. And at the moment, we find ourselves at the heart of a crisis on so many fronts. And digitalization is doing more harm than good, some might argue. Our insights, we've spoken to over 2,000 citizens, over 5 different key markets in Europe, and all of them have real concerns about the role AI has and can play in their opportunity, in whether they'll actually support their livelihoods or not. They have much more interest in technology and digitalization supporting sustainability and adapting to climate change. But AI and digitalization, people are not that confident or sure. So I'm very pleased to first introduce Victor. Victor, thank you for joining us. It's a busy, busy time in the Parliament, as we can hear and see. Tell us, what's your view? What kind of strategies do we need to adopt here, both at the Europe Parliament level, but also within Europe more broadly, to foster greater global competitiveness whilst keeping the trust of citizens on side and also being sustainable?
What is clear right now is that we have in front of us a real race for competitiveness. And in this regard, I think competitiveness will be likely driven by innovation, by AI, but also by defense investment. What is key for us is to make sure that there are no barriers for innovation, no barriers to access the markets that are available, no barriers to attract talent. This is key as well. And in the same time, we need to make sure that we are investing where we are supposed to invest, not create artificial competition to the business market. In this regard, I think one of the things that we need to do is to offer certainties when it comes to this kind of investment. That means to have clear rules at European level, but also some need to be done at global level. We need clear governance principles, especially when it comes to artificial intelligence, like, for instance, who owns the data, how we use the data, how we can implement AI at different levels, from government level to private level or education. But we also have to make sure that innovation has an objective. What is the goal of the new tools that we are currently developing? And in this regard, I think Europe has the capacity to become a model. We managed to do that through the AI Act, through GDPR,
Indeed,
through different legislation that we got approved, but we have to move beyond that. And I think what we can offer to the rest of the world is our capacity to generate consensus and, of course, in the same time, build platforms for dialogue, open dialogue. That will involve the business sector, but also the public sector. It is key for us to make sure that citizens understand that innovation changes are driven, managed by them, that they are empowered to do so. Nothing is happening above them or without involving them. And in this regard, of course, it's key to keep them informed on what is happening, but also make them part of the process. Co-ownership over the process of promoting innovation, in my opinion, it's a key element. It's not easy to achieve all of that. This is why we need, of course, to see how we can actually implement all of that at all levels, from local level to global level. All the layers are key and they have to be interconnected. Here, unfortunately, we seem to have quite a few difficulties.
Absolutely. Let's come back to you in a moment because I want to bring in Karen from Google. Because what I'd like you to think about is you haven't said much about citizens. How do you improve the trust? And also whether we have the wherewithal within the politics of the Parliament to actually do some of the things you're saying. Karen, thank you for joining us. Tell me, what's your view in terms of how the digital decade can scale startups with supporting citizens and kind of tackle the issue of digital divide? It's a tall order.
Thank you very much. Well, first, I really agree with MEP Negrescu. I think there is a lot of opportunity, but we also start to think when we talk about the digital decade, what are we talking about? And basically, what we see that we do need to catch up. We need about 20 million engineers, by 2030, which is one of the objectives. And for the moment, we have 11. We have about 11% of the companies who are using AI, to grow. In China, it's 80%. And we're planning a 75% by 2030, so in 5 years. So we need to catch up because this is actually what is going to power society. So the challenge is for the speed and for the scale. And for that, we need coordination, we need initiative. There's a lot of things which have been proposed now by the EU, which are very welcome, like the Apply AI strategy. And I think the startups and the scale-ups are really helpful because they are near the people. They are like basically most of the people are working for SMEs in Europe. And they're going to be really a driver to accelerate that growth because they're also going to come up with a lot of initiative and proposals on products which are going to be helpful for the people. And you were talking before, you have to build a trust. And then we see that actually the trust is built when people start to use the products, they start to use AI and to see that it is helping them for education, it is helping them in their work, it's helping them, to make their life easier, on a regular basis. Maybe it can actually, make the price go down because it's more efficient. So the people are going to kind of see these kind of things. And but what we need to do is to make sure that we accelerate this AI integration. So we need to skill up the people because, as I said before, there are not enough people who actually feel confident about how to use it and to use it in a meaningful way into their life and into their work.
How is Google supporting startups? And how are you doing that? And what do you need from government to support your work better?
So, Google use products which are very near to the people, but to the companies as well. And so we've already integrated our products in our AI into the products, and that allows basically people to use it easily. The nice thing about, AI is actually quite intuitive. It's more or less easy to do. It's not like you need to learn how to code. So we try to do that. We also have programs as well by which we support, in terms of knowledge, but also finance a lot of the startup. And we also support at the education level because you need now education, as I said, from that school, from university, but also long life learning. So this is the kind of things we're doing.
Thank you.
And what we need from the governments is that we need to work hand in hand. I think there's a lot of good initiatives which have been done between the regulation and also between the things like the gigafactories and also the financial developments. But we need to kind of work to make sure that the best technologies can be put, for the development of the people.
Great. Okay. Again, we'll come back to this debate in terms of how connected are we in the ecology to make this thing happen at scale across both public and private sectors. Radu, thank you for joining us. You're someone who's a co-founder of Happy Cities Incorporated, which is a great thing. I wish you could share that with us, but we don't have time for that discussion with you. But suffice it to say, what's your view on initiatives like the digital stack, the Eurostack? How can it drive up startup growth, as well as ensure that we've got digital inclusion in an AI-enabled economy?
Thank you for your question. And I think Eurostack is one of the most valuable European initiatives. And I've seen many in recent years. And it's valuable not because of what it builds, but of what it could connect. And I think Eurostack can become, if done right, the digital backbone of a more competitive and resilient Europe. Because it links AI, it links data, cloud infrastructure across member states, and it's very powerful. It's a powerful vision. It's giving the startups ground or a level playing field, if you ask, and citizens can bring a sense of trust in that future, as Karen was mentioning. But we also need to be honest. Infrastructure takes time and a lot of money. And in the early phase, it will be the big players who connects first, and the one with the resources, technical teams, and scale. Smaller innovators probably will have to wait in line. It's not criticism; it's a structural risk, and because what I see, it's inclusiveness. Inclusiveness is not automatic. It's something that needs to be built in. And that's why I believe in parallel with the infrastructure layer, we need a social layer put together. One that maps, supports, and amplifies the local and natural innovation networks already growing. AI startups in Cluj or Tallinn, civic tech initiatives in Lisbon or Krakow, they're already there. So these communities already embody what Eurostack is trying to achieve. Federation without bureaucracy, cooperation despite competition. As we say often in the Aspen Institute network, including through our new European Aspen Hub in Brussels, collaboration is not a phase of innovation, it's the engine of it. So while we build the servers and the standards, we also need to connect the ecosystems, open core city level pilots, startup partnership, the startup public partnership, and space for co-creation. As an NGO and Aspen Institute, this is our role to connect the digital infrastructure with the social fabric. But we are here to foster this collaboration.
No, Brad, thank you very much. But whose job is it to make those connections and make sure that the Eurostack doesn't become a distant thing away from those who are least capable to access it, least capable to navigate what it is to do, to become a startup in the first place, as well as connect to citizens? Whose job is it, from your perspective?
In my perspective, it's a common job. I mean, we cannot put a job on European Parliament or European Commission or somebody else. It's everybody's job. But to make it everybody's job, I mean, everybody's concern and job, we need to translate the Brussels language to the regular people. So this is partly our job as an NGO to translate or to make this communication probably better. Okay. Because you see, it's one thing that I would emphasize, and I also recognize what Mr. Negrescu was doing and encouraging cooperation on AI factories, for example. And this is the key issue. To buy European, as Eurostack is saying, we have to make sure that what made in Europe means. Okay. Because it's not only to get together, but it's only to have a common goal. And this is a common effort of the European Parliament, of all the business associations and so on, to make sure that we know what we are doing it for.
Okay, thank you. I'll come back to all of you, actually, about the Made in Europe idea that seems to be having traction. I can't get my head around it, but I mean, that's a separate point. That's just me. But I want to move to Catalina. Catalina, good to have you with us as well. And, you know, you represent a very significant association in Romania. Tell me, what's the role of, or are startups reflecting societal priorities? Do they have a sense of respecting or reflecting people's concerns around climate change, digital exclusion, etc., and so forth? So what role is startup growth having on societal issues, but also making sure at the other end, we know digital literacy is not that great in certain social groups. So how do you make sure there's adoption across generations of digital literacy? Kathleen, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. So representing an association that is focusing for many years on technology and digital technologies, we worked to bring together and to reflect the capacity of Romanian technology market to innovate, to evolve. And I think by now we see already we have very strong competencies in different technologies, and we have startups that are innovating and that are starting from Romania and reaching very, very high levels. And I think that's already known. What we see as well, and I think here it's where we develop, we see our startups moving to different direction, to what we can properly call security. And it's not only about cybersecurity or defense, but it's really about resilience and security, where we see our startups innovating and developing solutions for agriculture or for health or for transportation, for supply chain, so for energy. So this contribution that we see in our startups, I think it's very important, and it's important to acknowledge we have it, to bring it together, and to make them work together, to collaborate. So not only to talk about things they do, but really to create new projects, to do R&D together, and to evolve. And I think this is bringing, so in this aspect, collaboration means to have bigger companies with these startups working together, to have public institutions involving these startups, and we have this capacity as association, and this is part of our role, to bring these startups together and to help them communicate with different institutions, but also to look at how they can have an impact in the society and what they are bringing back. And this is a two ways to do this. Is on one side to have to cover, for instance, education, where the startups can have a real impact in helping our citizens to understand, to use technologies, but also to have senior people helping them to understand how they can actually support these people. And I think maybe a good example that we have these days, we have a startup that started many years ago, and that it's working on a solution for health for blind. You know, I think these are real examples.
Great, yeah, absolutely.
To bring together.
Knowing a little bit about Romania, having been there just after the election, what you do know is that the education infrastructure is really poor outside of the centre. Health infrastructure is even poorer. What's your sense of how an association like you can bridge the divide, that you have Bucharest, which has got a lot going on for itself, but you move outside of Bucharest, the infrastructure is really poor, and especially for young people's education and their ability to become startup merchants, if you like. What are you able to do and achieve in that regard?
We put a lot of energy, because also our conclusion and our paradigm is that we have, let's say, the most competitive and the best experts in technology and in IT, but in the same time we are behind with different public services that are to be used, or we have all these extreme good results in math, in engineering, in pure R&D, and but in DESI we are in a very bad place, which means that we have to work together to improve this where it's happening. As an association, we are at the country level. Of course, we have our headquarters in Bucharest, but we are trying to reach all the areas. We have a program that we do with the universities in all big university cities, supporting and incentivizing teachers that are improving the program. So we have this collaboration always with the education system to help them bring the right competencies to the kids and to support them to learn better. So I think on the education, we are on a good progress. Still, we have a lot of work to do.
Indeed.
On the health and let's say older citizens, there is still a lot. We have some special task forces that we organized in our association that are combining large companies with startups, acting in the same direction and working together to come with new ideas beyond the business they have to do. So really bring back to society, bringing back to our partners in public infrastructure to come with ideas and to collaborate with the new project.
Thank you, Kathleen. I want to go back to you, Victor. Citizen trust. From our work, it's very clear that 18 to 35-year-olds across the central belt, if you like, of Europe really have a poor sense of confidence in AI being their solution. They know digitalization is going to help wider society, but the trust in AI and trust in politicians and the private sector is pretty low. Tell us a little bit about what you think the Parliament can do, you can do, or what the measures might be to increase trust. But then secondly, Europe finds itself in the most complex, crisis-driven scenario it has since Second World War, given what's happening. Do you think we've got the political capacity to do the right thing?
I think we need more political will
No.
to change perspective, but also our approach when it comes to those important issues. Because we take things for granted and we believe that people will integrate new technologies and AI just because this has happened in the past or because they will have to do it. But we tend to ignore the counter reactions of those that maybe will not be in the position of using those new technologies in a proficient way. And actually, new discrepancies will appear between those that can use AI in a professional manner and the ones that use AI only for their daily life without understanding how AI can improve their status from their profession to bigger income. That is why, of course, we have to listen to people, talk to people, explain and be as explicit as possible and be present at local level. It's crucial for us to reach out to people, to make them understand how those evolution will have an impact on them. And I can give you an example. I go and meet a lot of young people in my home country, but also in different member states. And I often ask them, when I meet especially pupils, whether they use AI. And actually today, if you ask, go in a classroom, all of them are going to raise their hand and say they use AI, different tools, etc. And I ask also professors, and I notice that when I ask professors, only about 30%, maybe half are using. So we have half of the professors that actually do not know how to use AI, and many of those using AI do not know how to use it in a professional way in order to maintain ethical rules and at the same time make sure that they increase their productivity. So this is happening at all levels and for all generations. So that is why I think Brussels have to be down to earth, have a communication strategy, but also work with member states, work with local NGOs, work with local authorities. We are not engaging them enough. And of course, show that AI can be actually an opportunity for everyone. So accessibility, democratizing access, and to this kind of AI education, in my opinion, is also crucial. And what we don't have today at European level is that we don't even have standards for AI education, and AI is already present. We are not deploying through Erasmus AI training enough in member states. So this will create a lot of counter reaction. It can create actual problems for us if we are not engaging on that topic. And of course, some of them will perceive that they are losing the game, and we have to make sure as many people as possible are confident that they can use new technologies to make their life better.
Is this house having that conversation?
I think it's not enough. And even if you ask members here, if I compare the plenary of the parliament with the classroom here, probably only 30% are actually using AI in a proficient manner. So indeed, it's up to us that are aware of new technologies to talk about it. We need also the private sector to engage more with legislators here at European level, but also at national, local level, because the reaction of politicians that do not know these tools is to oppose them and to come up with regulations that would represent a further barrier to accessibility to this innovation. But, this will be available for everyone. It's like research engines. They are available for everyone, So therefore, AI will be available for everyone. So creating barriers would not help. Empowering people will help, and we need to define how we can empower people in a better way.
Absolutely. And you think there's a really easy answer here because technology can make all of this so much easier. We just need someone to be in charge and to organize it. I'm going to ask all of you, because I need to wrap up the debate, and I'll come back to you last, Victor, is that made in Europe? How does that feel for you, Google?
Well, we feel it's absolutely normal that Europe wants to develop its capabilities. I mean, that's absolutely normal. But what we feel it's important is that when you're talking about growth, you want to make sure that the companies and the researchers and the people who are going to develop the next inventions also have access to the best tools which are available. So we think actually we should have the different tools available equally. What you want is that the tools are fully interoperable, that the tools are accessible, that the people have the choice. And also, of course, there is a way to do it at European level, and that the tools actually comply the European requirements. But we feel they should go hand in hand and not just have a closing against, because I think it will have an impact on competitiveness.
Thank you, Karen. Catalina, what's your take on Made in Europe?
As I mentioned, certainly we have really great competencies, and we can leverage on that and bring more European companies together to develop and to understand and to use technologies that are existing. I do agree we have to get best of what exists. In the same time, I think here in Europe and specifically in Romania, we have this great competencies to create technology and to contribute to this global asset basket of really great tools. And I think today we are not using enough this capacity that we have. And I think that will be very helpful to have Europe as an important contributor to this global tool set.
Okay.
So I think we can do more.
All right. Radu, what's your take on Made in Europe? Do you think it's just a political device, or can it actually help in this agenda of startup growth and citizen trust?
It will help a lot, to be honest. It will help a lot because it will be the dream that connects everybody. But I believe that Made in Europe already is telling a story. It's telling a story of ethical ground. It's telling a story of a security embedded. It's telling a story of connected Europe, which is very powerful in order to build on that. But it's also about where we measure. And I emphasize on this. We focus very much on how fast do we build, even Eurostack, how fast do we build and how long are our highways. But let's measure how many people are there.
Okay.
How many people are contributing, how many ideas are connected, and so on. So maybe focusing on that, it will eliminate this competition between Europe and US. It's about how many people do we help. So that's my
Thank you.
point.
Thank you. Last word to you, Victor. Made in Europe. Political fancifulness, or is it something that's really going to help Europe move things forward?
So we have to avoid making Made in Europe just a slogan. For me, it's key to define what we mean by Made in Europe and how we are marketing ourselves. And of course, Europe needs to market itself better, especially when it comes to new technologies. In the same time, we have been the promoters of global trade. So therefore, for me, it's not about Made in Europe, it's how we can make Europe a global leader and, of course, interacting and engaging more with different stakeholders at global level. How we can tap in our talent, how we can produce things everywhere while using our capacity to innovate. So I think in this regard, we have to focus on the sectors and on the technologies where we bring an added value, where we have bigger profits and bigger margins. We have to concentrate on that. And if we manage to do that, of course, Europe can come on top. And your first question was about Europe competitiveness. Indeed, we have to focus on that. But what is essential also to explain to people, I know this is not easy for politicians. If we isolate ourselves, we are going to lose. Europe can be a leader, can increase its competitiveness if Europe will influence how the world is moving forward by opening borders and by helping others do better. This is crucial.
Thank you. Time runs fast when you're having fun. That's it. That's all the time we have, unfortunately. Thank you for watching and listening. Give us your views. Let us know at Debating Europe what you think about this debate on this Made in Europe in particular. It'd be interesting to know because it's quite, from my perspective, it feels farcical because you have 27 markets which operate independently. We don't have a single market necessarily in place. But hey, let us give us your views on what you think. But join us again and thank our contributors for this debate that we've had on the EU's digital decade. Keep an eye on our website, and we will continue to share our signature work on Voices for Choices, where we will continue to engage citizens in different parts of Europe, and we'll feed that back to you and with politicians and others so that we're able to shift the dial on the debate around active citizenship and healthy democracies. Thank you very much, and see you again.